Sibelius says, owner of a 2002 Evinrude 175 Ficht Ram. Got to change the starter. It's supposed to be the battery or electric issues, but was the starter, now runs good. How can I know when I have to change the outboard? How long can it last, and how can I notice when it's dying? This clip is brought to you by PartsView.com. They are a marine parts and outboard superstore, but they also have all kinds of boating needs like safety gear and other equipment that you could need for your boat. Check them out and get a discount on anything that you purchase for the first 100 boaters using the discount codes and the link in the description below. So that is a interesting question and great topic, because there isn't really a way of knowing when an outboard is going to fail. There are signs, but there is not really a formula based on, I have this many hours, it is this age, and this is how much life is left in the engine. There isn't really anything that's going to tell you that. Maintenance and condition are definitely going to be big factors in that, but generally you run an outboard until it dies. By that, I mean the power head locks up or it just won't run right anymore. Also, if the components on the engine, say you have a 30-year-old engine and the wire harness, the stator, the TPS, the injectors, well, 30-year-olds might not have injectors, but the components of the actual engine are now starting to wear down to where every time you take the boat out, the stator went bad. Then my CDI box went bad. Now my ignition coils went bad. Then the flywheel magnets failed. Then the TPS went bad. So if every time you take that out, because all your components on the engine are 30 years old, they just fail pretty quickly. Because take the ignition system, for instance. Everything's 30 years old, and your stator, you change the stator. That stator, before it failed, was not producing what it should be producing. So it's a lot weaker than what it should have been. You change that stator, and now all of a sudden you're getting brand new power, like it's packing a punch. So now you're providing way more power to the rest of your ignition system, being your CDIs or your ignition coils, spark plug wires, all that stuff. It's not used to getting that much. So now that makes your CDI fail, because it's now, because it's so worn out. Now all of a sudden it's taking more voltage, more amperage than it normally was with that worn out stator. So then it fails. Then the coils fail, then this fails, then that fails. The engine harness, the rubber has now degraded that's protecting the wires. Now you got shorts all the time, and you got to change out the wire harness. So when you get to an age point and you visually look at the engine and you can tell all these components are like failing, one right after another, you have two options. One, change the engine, or two, change all those parts. So at that point in time, the amount that you're going to spend, especially if you got to pay somebody to do it and you can't do it yourself, if you got to pay somebody to do it, paying that someone to do that and then changing out all those parts is probably going to be the same amount that you would spend on buying, say, a used outboard that's 15, 20 years newer with half the hours. So in a roundabout way of answering the question, there isn't a formula that's going to tell you how long the engine is going to last or when it's going to die. But the signs of what it looks like, if it's completely dirty and trashed out and like hasn't been cleaned in 20 years and is covered in salt, you can think that engine is not, it's probably not reliable, because it's, you can see how dirty it is. But generally you run an outboard until it dies. So until that thing blows up or it costs you more money than it would cost you to replace it, then you just keep running it. That's pretty much the way I would run an engine when it comes to thinking about when to replace it. Tamarin, I'm not going to try and say your name. He says, I just bought an older model boat for a good price. It was a Yamaha F115 09 model with 350 hours. So we're talking about 2009 F115. Runs great, but how many more hours do you think I will be able to put on the motor? What can I do to make it last longer, or should I just sell it at a profit and get something newer? I got the boat motor and trailer for $6,000 in good condition. It is a G3 Eagle 180. So, Tamarin, bro, you're talking about 2009, so a 15-year-old Yamaha F115 with 350 hours on it. As long as that engine was taken care of and wasn't just left with the cowling off sitting on the ocean with salt water splashing on top of it, you're going to get hours and, hundreds to thousands of hours more and years of use out of that engine. I mean, you haven't even broken that thing in yet. 350 hours and 15 years on a Yamaha. Run that thing and don't even think about it. Yeah, you could sell it if you wanted something new. I mean, if you just want new, then yeah, you could do that. But if your concern is reliability and whether or not that engine is going to last a long time, yes, 15-year-old Yamaha with 350 hours is going to last a long time. You might get another 15 years and another 1,000 hours out of that engine. So I wouldn't be concerned about trying to change that thing out unless you're trying to upgrade to something with, more communication and stuff like that. Just do the maintenance, service it regularly, keep everything lubed up, greased, oiled, CRC on the engine, and that thing's going to give you a lot of use. It's a really, really reliable engine. So if you like this clip, you can watch the full podcast over here, or you can watch another clip over here.